Hello, Taurus, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a good day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of November 30th through December 6th. And during that time, we'll have a waxing gibbous moon. And a waxing gibbous is a good time to make adjustments, to show that you can be flexible. Those projects and things that you're working on, kind of, make adjustments, look around, see what needs a little changing, and do the whatever applies there for you. We then move into that full moon energy on December 5th. And of course, that's a time of heightened emotions, a good time. You might feel a little overwhelmed and anxious or snappy and irritable, but for me, it is just a high energy time. I always feel great during the full moon. So, hopefully you do as well. And then use that energy in the best way that you can. So, keep that in mind as we're moving through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading, Taurus. So, of course, please take what resonates today and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this particular reading is, what do you need to release? All right, let's see what the Taurus Collective has going on for the week. As I'm shuffling the tarot today, my fun weekly message is that you notice the world around you today when it kind of, not just today, but every day really, but just maybe a little more focus on it this week when it comes to synchronicities. So this could be things like, this could be a dream that you have, maybe an animal that you encounter. It could be a conversation that you overhear, or maybe a song that you overhear. I know sometimes I'm flipping through my radio station, especially driving. I tend to do that. I tend to, don't want to listen to this, flip off the, just go through the dial and changing those channels. And sometimes just a song lyric will pop through and it'll seem like it does have some significant on maybe something I'm going through in my life at the time, maybe a question on my mind and there's just an answer that's there. So anyway, that is my fun weekly reminder. That is the universe's way of offering you little breadcrumbs on your unique path, and try to pay attention to those this week. So all right, without further ado, let's get into this reading. I feel like this deck is ready to go. November 30th through December 6th. Taurus, what do you need to release? Your overall present energy is a Tower. Okay, so you may need to release something, and how is that showing up for you? And a little bit of a disruption in your life for some reason. So and we all go through these towers. It could be something minor to something major. That's usually, delays that happen, challenges that are coming, some sort of test that's coming up for you. Of course, it's probably going to be something that's irritating and annoying, and it could be from irritating to a rude awakening, right? You get the whole gamut when it comes to a tower, but typically it's there to teach us something. It's there, it's some sort of obstacle in our way to teach us how to manage it just the next time it rolls around. As you go through your life and as you mature and as you get better with these towers just become less and less disruptive, I guess. You just learn how to be more patient, but you get to go through these to get to that point so that you can learn that patience. And it looks like you've got a little challenge coming up this week for you. Your current situation is that you are moving towards the future here. And so it could be some sort of challenge with that. It could be something that's delaying you a little bit, kind of setting you back a little. But you'll get through it. We all get through these disruptions. It's just what life is. It's full of them, right? Every week we all get something, hopefully not every day. And they do tend to get less and less. At the root of your situation is the Sun card. So, maybe this is just a challenge for your general happiness. Is it really going to challenge you that much? Whatever is disrupting right now. I hope not. I hope it doesn't completely wreck your happiness. I mean, I think I like to say that at different phases of your life, these different challenges come up, and I'll use, let's say a flat tire. In your 20s, a flat tire can be, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. First, do you know how to change a tire? I mean, I don't tell anybody, but I really don't. I've always found that someone just always comes along to rescue me. I'm very lucky that way. I love that. Anyway, that aside, let's say it's a flat tire. Yeah, can you change a flat tire? Maybe, maybe not. Do you have the money to get that tire replaced if it needs to be replaced? Maybe, maybe not in your 20s. That's a time when you're like robbing Peter to pay Paul and trying to get it together financially. So flat tires are a pretty big deal. Now you get to your 30s and it's like, well, you've probably changed a few by this point. And, you've got a little more money in the bank. You can probably, it's fine. You'll take care of it. It's an annoyance. It's less wow than in your 20s, right? Then in your 40s, you probably are a little bit more established, and now you just have a service. You have a flat tire and there's a service that shows up and just takes care of your tire for you, right? You're just a little more established and you've learned that I don't like to change tires and I'm going to do something preventative to take care of that. In your 50s, kind of the same thing, to where it's really like that's just baked in. You haven't even thought about changing a tire in years, right? So that's what I mean by those challenges, just getting easier and easier as you mature and as you age. In your life, you just kind of learn how to manage, conquer them, and it's not as big a deal as it is maybe when you're younger. And of course, my flat tire was an example of almost anything. Think of like a travel delay. Well, you might lose your mind when you're young and immature about what, you know, I bought tickets for this flight months ago and this delays how, you might have a conniption about it. Your 30s, maybe you're a little bit more annoyed about it. 40s, you're like, yeah, let's hit the bar and, relax. It's just different. Anyway, those are my disruptor examples, and how, and you kind of think of where are you in this disruption, and how we manage it today affects also how you manage it tomorrow. That was a lot of ranting about that, Taurus. My apologies. In your past recent past here is the Seven of Pentacles. So you've planted some seeds in the past here, and all you can do, you've been watching them grow, and there's nothing really you can do about that. I will say, wait, that's an 8 there. Never mind. I thought that was gonna, never mind. I was going with 77 there. We'll see if another 7 pops out as we're looking for synchronicities. But this is your recent past. Just no real change in your, I would say, like in your work environment, that sort of thing. Just things are kind of going status quo. What's on your mind this week is maybe an exchange of words here with the 5 of Swords. So, this could be that you've had to do some kind of confrontation, or kind of, have something go on with words, with communication. Has there been miscommunications? Is that something that is helping this tower moment? Could be. And it's on your mind. The 5 is usually about, you know, sometimes it can be just winning through deceit, is what we're taught as, or underhanded tactics. That's kind of the rote thing that tarot readers are taught when we're learning how to decipher tarot cards. But for me, I've always felt like it was words exchange, and not the happiest. If you look at the weather, the weather in this card is, some cloudy skies, a little gray and overcast. But I feel like this person here had 5 things to say, and they said one to that person and one to the other, but they've still kind of held back. Like they didn't let them completely have it, but they kind of put out the warning, I'm letting you know, blah blah blah. So is that on your mind a little this week? Could be. This could be something that happened this week or in the past, something that was said, words exchanged, just kind of replaying through your head, ruminating a little bit. What is just ahead of you this week is the Wheel of Fortune, which I like, because all of this again leads to evolvement, leads to your life changing in a different way. It leads to you being into another phase of your life. So towers have a way of doing that, and that's what I'm saying about, you get through them and you look back and that wasn't so bad. Next time I might do it this and this and this way, and that's how we learn. We're just kind of adding those learning lessons as we go along. In your advice position, Taurus, I will ask you what is happening in this card before we talk about it, which I always do with in-person readings. Kind of hard to do with these general readings online, but I will have you evaluate for a second what's going on. And if you said this person is giving to these people, then that's what you need to. That's your advice. If you said that these people are receiving from that person, then that's your advice. So either be in giving or receiving mode, and either do it selflessly, or receive with gratitude. Make sure that you're just showing gratitude towards whatever you're being given right now. What is beyond your control this week is the 6 of Cups. So definitely thinking about something a little nostalgic here. And we also have 2 sixes. So look up angel number 66, see if that means anything to your week. But beyond your control, to kind of be thinking about your youth, thinking of, this could be something to do with family, siblings, friends from, your school days, something. I feel like something's going to come up for you and you'll be thinking about that. Just kind of beyond your control. It kind of filters in for you. What is your secret desire or what you're trying to avoid is the Four of Cups. So, are you trying to avoid being dissatisfied? Probably. I doubt if anyone is like, oh, let me be dissatisfied this week, right? So, or is it your secret desire to kind of refuse something that the universe is offering you? That could be in there too. That'll be a question for you this week. Are you, are you not happy with what's coming through and what's being offered? Maybe. Um, can you change that? Maybe, maybe not. That'll be a big question for you this week. And in your outcome position is the Magician card, which is the ultimate decider in what element that you want to change things. Now, I haven't seen any swords in your reading, and we do have a few major arcana 4 at this point. So, not a lot of fire in your week. I feel like this is kind of a week of, what am I going to say here? Yeah, you got to deal with this disruption. And there's probably more emotion than communication this week, and that's okay. You might be a little inside your head a little bit this week with ruminating over words that were exchanged, words that have come out, but in the end you're really, here's the Magician proposing to you, how do you want to manage all this? Do you want to manage all this by being more emotionally balanced? Do you want to throw money at it with pentacles? Do you want to talk about it with the sword, or do you want to just be passionate about it with wands? So pick your element, I think, by the end of the week to decide how you will manage maybe this disruption in the future. What is hidden from you this week, Taurus, is very interesting because it's the Empress card, which is also was just hidden from Aries. So that's very interesting. So what is hidden from you is really making decisions about long-term creative projects, long-term, um, very long-term, really. This can be our card of pregnancy, which is the biggest, longest term commitment you can make, right? And I think that's just hidden from you. So I think you're deciding about things just now in the moment. You're not really thinking super long term this week. You're thinking about just getting through these things, and your emotional response is probably important. We're going to move through the future. You're probably not satisfied with this disruption that comes through. Nobody is, but live and learn through it, and that's all you can really do. Let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final words for Taurus as they're managing this disruption this week. That did not take long, except what is. Okay, never bad advice. Things are what they are. Sometimes you just have to say, well, that's the way things are. Not much you can do to change certain things, right? Let's see what Taurus needs to do in the way of self-care this week. Self-care for Taurus this week. Whoops, this card wants to come right out. And the card is called Friend. Be as good a friend to yourself as you are to others. Well, that's really good advice. And maybe that means don't beat yourself up over whatever this disruption is or whatever that thing is going on in your head. Be a good friend to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Go back to your childhood. You know, be as kind to yourself as you would go back and be as kind to 5-year-old you, that inner child of yourself. So be nice to yourself this week, Taurus. You'll get through it. And by the end, the Magician is saying, all right, how do you want to move ahead? It's kind of something that you get through and move along. So thanks so much for being here with me. I do hope there's something you can take away in this reading and use for your week. If you're comfortable sharing, of course, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what sort of disruption you were going through. How did you end up the end of the week? Did you learn anything through it? Did you decide to do it differently? Maybe the next time you have to encounter a challenge like that, I'd be curious about that, and you can let me know. Also, if you like my reading style, Taurus, please hit the like and subscribe button. I know it sounds a little repetitive when we say this, but it is kind of how YouTube helps us out or not. So, and you can help with that. That would be great. I would appreciate that as a YouTube reader. So once again, thank you so much. Most importantly, if you like and subscribe, it'll help you find me next week, Taurus, where we can come back and see if this story continues or if there's a completely new energy here for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.